My son looked at a room full of investors in Seattle and said, "My dad wouldn't understand this business stuff." I was sitting 12 feet away, wearing a faded navy flannel and holding burnt conference coffee that cost $7 and somehow still tasted free. Funny thing about life sometimes, the people who built the road are the ones nobody notices driving on it. 3 hours later, Connor Griffin lost the biggest deal of his career. And he still didn't understand why. Before we get into this, tell me down below, what country are you watching from, and what time is it where you are right now? I always love seeing where people are joining from. And if you enjoy real stories about family hard lessons and quiet moments that change everything, consider subscribing. Now stay with me here, because this started long before Seattle. People see an old man driving an old truck, and they build a story in their heads. You know that look people get, that polite smile that says, "I already figured you out." At 68 years old, I had learned not to fight it. My name is Nova Griffin. I lived alone in Boise, Idaho, in a quiet neighborhood off West State Street, where people still waved when they drove past, and where Saturday mornings smelled like fresh-cut grass and somebody burning bacon 2 houses over. My house wasn't impressive. Small, single-story place. White paint fading near the garage. Wind chimes my wife bought 15 years ago, still hanging by the porch. I kept meaning to replace them. Never did. Funny how grief works. Sometimes you keep broken things because fixing them feels like letting go. My truck sat in the driveway every morning. A 1998 Ford Ranger XLT, silver blue. Driver's side seat pat-tuned with duct tape. The air conditioning worked only when it felt emotionally available. Russ Bennett used to say, "My truck survived 3 presidents, 2 recessions, and at least 1 mechanical death that God personally reversed." Russ had been my best friend since 1983, 67 years old. Former systems engineer. Bad knees. Terrible golf swing. Professional level sarcasm. Every Tuesday and Friday morning, at exactly 7:15, we met at Maggie's Diner. Not because the food was extraordinary, because routine becomes important when enough people leave your life. Nova Maggie yelled across the diner that Tuesday morning, "You want your usual?" "Depends," I said. "Did inflation hit eggs again?" "Not yet." "Then yes." Russ sat in our booth, already drinking black coffee. "No truck trouble?" he asked. "Truck's fine. You're late. 17 seconds. Character decline. Age discrimination. Truth." That was Russ. We'd argue about meaningless things for 40 minutes, like 2 retired idiots trying to out-stubborn each other. And somehow, that kept life normal. "Connor call," Russ asked. I took a sip of coffee. "Yesterday. And he wants me in Seattle." Russ leaned back. Business thing. Business thing. He finally making money, I think so." "You think so?" He talks fast now. "That usually means money or debt. Or both." Russ laughed. I smiled. My son Connor Griffin lived in Seattle. 39, CEO, founder. Or at least that's how people introduced him. Connor always had ambition, even when he was little. When he was 11, he sold baseball cards to neighborhood kids for double what he paid. When he was 13, he convinced 3 friends to mow lawns while he managed operations, charged homeowners $60, paid his friends $15, kept $15. Kid discovered middle management before puberty. Margaret used to laugh about it. My wife, Maggie. She used to sit at our kitchen table drinking chamomile tea and say, "That boy's going to own something one day." "He already acts like he owns me," I'd tell her. Connor got his drive from somewhere. People assumed me. Truth was, he got a lot of it from her. Margaret Griffin wasn't loud, wasn't flashy, but that woman could stare at you quietly for 10 seconds and make you reconsider every bad decision you'd ever made. She'd been gone 8 years. Pancreatic cancer. Fast. Cruel. The kind of thing that divides your life into before and after. Pay attention to this next part. Because it matters. After Margaret died, Connor changed. Not overnight, not dramatic, just slowly. Calls became shorter. Visits became holidays only. Then holidays every other year. Then FaceTime. Then texts. Then business. Always business. Busy week, Dad. Big opportunity, Dad. Investors flying in, Dad. I understood. Or at least I told myself I did. People build careers, build families, build lives. Distance happens. Still doesn't make it hurt less. 3 months before Seattle, Connor had called. While I was replacing a sprinkler head in my backyard. "Dad, Connor, you busy?" "Fighting. Irrigation equipment. Winning. Not currently." Small laugh. Quick. Distracted. "Dad, listen," he said. "We've got something big coming." "Oh yeah, very big." "What kind of big potential? Expansion big." "Good. Seattle investors." "Good. National growth." "Really good." Then silence. Small silence. Important silence. "You should come visit." "Seattle." "Yeah? Everything okay?" "Yeah." "Why now?" "Just thought you'd like seeing things." Things. "Our company, our office, our operation." I smiled. "Showing off, no." "Yes, maybe." "Okay, okay. Really, really." "Good." "Connor." "Yeah, proud of you." Pause. "Thanks, Dad." Small words, heavy words. That call happened 3 weeks before Seattle. Then came another. One that sat wrong. Real wrong. Thursday, 5:42 p.m. I remember because I was standing in my garage. Connor talking fast, excited, distracted. "We're doing an investor presentation next month." "That's good." "Big people." "Good." "Real money." "Still good." "Would be nice having family there." "Happy to come." "You can just relax." "Yeah." Connor. "Yeah." Why do I feel like there's a warning coming? No warning. Connor. "Dad." "What just?" "Don't feel weird if business conversations get technical." Silence. Short silence. Dangerous silence. You think I'll get bored? I asked. No. Confused. No. You know I can hear words right. Dad, that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? You know, no. You wouldn't really understand this world. There it was. Quiet. Simple. Clean. Like someone slipping a knife between ribs, politely. I said nothing. Not because it didn't hurt. Because sometimes people tell you exactly who they are if you stay quiet long enough. I understand enough, I said. Dad, I said enough. Don't take it personally. Classic. Don't take it personally. My generation invented entire emotional damage industries around those 4 words. After we hung up, I stood in my garage. Quiet. Tool bench. Old fishing poles. Christmas decorations. Margaret's gardening gloves hanging exactly where she left them. And in the corner, a storage box. Gray, dusty, old. My eyes stopped there. Not because I needed anything inside, because memory works strange. That box had not moved in years, maybe decades. I walked toward it, stopped, looked, then walked away. Not yet. That night Russ called. You sound weird, he said. I sound normal? You sound weird. Connor said something. Bad depends. Tell me. He said I wouldn't understand his business world. Silence. Then Russ laughed. Actually laughed. Hard. What I asked. Oh, nothing. Russ. Nothing. Russ. Nova. What? Life has a weird sense of humor. You're doing that thing. What thing? That mysterious old man thing. You're older than me by 4 months. Answer me. No. Russ. Go to Seattle. Why, just go. You know something. No. You absolutely know something. Maybe. Russ. Trust me. I hate when you say that. I know. I hung up irritated. But not angry. Not yet. That would come later. At that moment, I thought I was flying to Seattle to visit my son. I had no idea I was walking straight toward 30 years of buried history. And history has a funny habit. It waits, quiet, patient, until the exact moment people think it's dead. Seattle always felt like a city, trying very hard not to slow down. People walked fast, talked fast, drank expensive coffee fast. Even the rain, somehow, looked efficient. My Alaska Airlines flight landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport on a gray Thursday afternoon in late October. The kind of Pacific Northwest weather that made everything look like somebody turned the brightness down 10%. I had one carry-on bag, one navy flannel jacket, one old leather wallet Margaret bought me in 1999, and exactly zero interest in impressing anybody. Connor texted me, landing delay at office. Be there 20 minutes. 20 became 43. Not that I counted. Okay. I counted. I sat near baggage claim drinking coffee that cost $5.75 and tasted like somebody described coffee to a machine that had never met coffee. You know that feeling when you're waiting for somebody who used to run toward you? When Connor was 6 years old, he'd sprint through airport terminals when I'd come home from business trips. Dad, like seeing me was the biggest event in human history. Funny how life edits people. At 2:52 p.m., Connor finally appeared. Dark charcoal jacket, white sneakers, dark jeans, Apple Watch, phone in hand, still typing while walking, still typing when he hugged me. Quick hug. One arm, professional hug. You made it, he said. I was beginning to think Seattle changed airports. Sorry. Crazy day. Big business world. His smile tightened. Tiny? Fast? Gone? Something like that. Connor looked good, healthy, successful. More gray around his temples than last Christmas. That surprised me. Success ages people. People think pressure only hurts people struggling. Pressure hurts everybody. We walked toward parking. Garage level 4. Space C 214. Dark blue Tesla Model Y. Of course. Nice car, and I said, it's practical. $48,000 practical. Dad, I'm joking. Mostly. He threw my bag into the back. Flight okay? Fine. No delays and... Nope. You hungry? Always. Good. I'm retired. Hunger becomes a hobby. Small smile. Progress. Traffic crawled north towards Seattle. Rain tapped softly against the windshield. Connor drove one-handed. Phone mounted near the dashboard. Navigation running. 3 text notifications appeared. 2 emails. Slack message. Calendar reminder. Kid lived inside his devices. How's Boise? He asked. Still Boise. Russ still alive. Barely. Connor laughed. Real laugh. For 2 seconds, he sounded 23 again. You still eating at Maggie's? He asked. Twice a week. You should try healthier food. I survived the 80s, Connor. That's not science. It's Idaho science. We crossed into the city. Glass towers, construction cranes, people everywhere. Seattle looked expensive. Like even breathing downtown required a subscription plan. You staying with me? Connor asked. If that's okay. Of course. Small pause. Rachel cleaned the guest room. Rachel. I'd heard the name. Connor's COO, 36. Smart. Operations background. Helped build the company. Connor mentioned her constantly. Not romantically, professionally. At least, I assumed professionally. She lives there, I asked. No. Oh. Silence. Then, we work a lot. Uh-huh. Dad, I'm saying nothing. You were absolutely saying something. Evidence. I know your face. You do. Unfortunately. Good. Small moments matter. You need those moments later. Trust me. We reached South Lake Union around 4:10 p.m. Connor pointed toward a sleek glass building, 7 stories, modern, minimalist. The kind of office building where chairs probably cost more than my truck. That's us, Connor said. I looked up, across the front. Nexus Flow Logistics. Clean, sharp, professional. Connor parked. Employees moved in and out. Young, fast, laptops, bad posture, energy drinks, corporate optimism. "You want to see it?" Connor asked. Thought that was the point. We stepped inside. Open concept office, floor-to-ceiling windows, whiteboards, standing desks, people wearing headphones worth more than my first mortgage payment. Connor transformed immediately. Voice changed. Posture changed. Confidence amplified. "Connor? Connor? Connor?" People greeted him constantly. He moved differently here. Bigger, like the building itself inflated him. "This is Maya," he said. "Young engineer, 27 maybe." "Nice meeting you," she said. "You too." "You Connor's dad. Depends what he told you." She laughed. "Good kid. This is Alex. This is Jordan. This is Priya. Fast introductions, fast movement, fast everything." Connor guided me toward a glass conference room. "This is where we do investor strategy." I nodded. Screens covered walls, data dashboards, distribution maps, supply chain analytics, cold storage tracking systems, transportation routing, warehouse optimization. I felt something strange. Not emotional, not exactly. Recognition, small, quiet. Like hearing a song from high school, playing softly in a grocery store. As Connor kept talking. Predictive inventory modeling. Regional distribution optimization. Temperature integrity monitoring. Real-time cold chain compliance. Then I saw it. One diagram, projected onto a screen. Simple flow structure, distribution logic, tracking sequence, system layering. My stomach tightened, just slightly. Not enough for Connor to notice, but enough. Stay with me here. Because this matters. Very few people understand cold chain logistics. It's not glamorous. Nobody makes movies about refrigerated transportation software. Nobody says, "You know what's exciting? Produce distribution compliance." But if food moves safely across America, somebody built systems making that possible. I stared at the screen. Warehouse input architecture, transport verification layering, data integrity checkpoints. Familiar. Too familiar. Connor noticed me looking. "Pretty cool, right?" he said. "Yeah. Whole platform's proprietary." "Really?" "Built internally." "Internally?" "From scratch." "From scratch." Those words landed differently. I walked closer. Screen still visible. Diagram labels. Flow sequence. Structure. My eyes moved lower, toward file naming conventions. Project references. Version identifiers. Small things. Easy things to miss. People underestimate old men. We notice details. Years teach you that. I leaned slightly, read again, then again. My heartbeat changed. Not fear, recognition, deep recognition. Like finding your handwriting inside someone else's notebook. Connor kept talking. Numbers, growth projections, expansion, national scale, future plans. I barely heard him. Because on that screen, Buried inside system documentation was a naming structure nobody should still be using. Nobody, except people connected to something very old, very specific, very buried. Nova, Connor's voice. What? You okay? Yeah. You look weird. Do I? Yeah. Probably old age. Dad? I'm kidding. Mostly. Connor glanced toward the screen. Cool system, right? Very cool. You understand any of it? There it was, not cruel, not intentionally. Worse, dismissive, casual. Like he'd already decided the answer. I smiled. Small, controlled. You'd be surprised what old people understand, I said. Connor laughed. Friendly, careless. Sure. Then his phone buzzed. Sorry, he said. Need this. He stepped away. I stood alone, looking at that screen, looking at something impossible, something buried, something forgotten. Or maybe not forgotten. Maybe reused. Maybe borrowed. Maybe stolen. No, too early, too soon. But something wasn't right. And deep down deep, where instinct lives, I knew. The business trip had just become something else. Because 20 feet away, projected onto a glass conference wall, was a ghost from 30 years ago. And ghosts don't appear by accident. There's a strange feeling that happens when your past walks into the room without asking permission. Not memory, not nostalgia, something sharper. Like hearing your own voice in a crowd 30 years later. Connor was still across the office talking to two people in finance when I looked back at that screen. The diagram disappeared. Different slide now. Revenue projections, expansion targets, forecast numbers. Clean, modern, professional. But my pulse hadn't settled. Because I knew what I saw. And I knew exactly where it came from. The problem was Connor didn't. Dad, I turned. Rachel Carter. Connor's COO. 36. Brown blazer. Black jeans. Practical shoes. No corporate performance smile. That stood out. People in business learn fake smiling early. Rachel hadn't mastered it yet. Good sign. You okay? She asked. Why does everybody keep asking me that? Connor said you looked weird. Your CEO says a lot of things. She smiled. Small, controlled. He does. You work with him every day. 5 years. You deserve hazard pay. That earned an actual laugh. Connor warned me, she said, about dad jokes. Those aren't jokes. No. They're public service announcements. Dangerous confidence for someone wearing New Balance shoes. You leave these shoes alone. Fair enough. Good kid, observant, sharp eyes. People underestimate sharp, quiet people. Big mistake. You built this with Connor, I asked. Most of operations. Long hours. Very. You like it most days. Not today. Rachel leaned lightly against the conference room doorway. You ever build something that becomes bigger than what you imagined? I looked at her long enough to notice something. Exhaustion. Not physical. Ethical. Important difference. Yeah, I said quietly. I have. Connor appeared again. Ready, he said. For dinner? What time is it? 6:15? People eat dinner at 6:15 here, Seattle does. Seattle sounds exhausting. Connor rolled his eyes. Come on. Rain hit harder outside. Pacific Northwest rain had commitment issues. Never dramatic enough to matter. Never weak enough to ignore. Connor drove toward Capitol Hill. Friday traffic, brake lights, gray sky, too many Teslas. Where are we going? I asked. Somewhere good. Expensive, Dad. I'm preparing emotionally. It's not that expensive. 20 minutes later, we parked. The Pink Door, Italian restaurant. Warm lights, crowded. Good smell. Connor had picked well. I'll give him that. We sat near the window. Rachel joined. Apparently, dinners weren't optional around here. Menus arrived. I ordered lasagna. Connor ordered salmon. Rachel ordered pasta. Dad still eats like it's 1987, Connor said. 1987 worked. Your cholesterol disagrees. My cholesterol minds its business. You should eat healthier. Connor. Yeah. You sleep 4 hours a night and drink caffeine like you're sponsored by espresso. Rachel almost choked, laughing. Okay, Connor said. Fair. Small moments. Tiny moments. Families survive on tiny moments. Red arrived. Conversation moved. Expansion plans, growth. Hiring. National distribution. Connor talked fast. Faster than Boise. Faster than normal. Like momentum itself lived inside him. We're scaling aggressively, Connor said. Arizona next. Colorado after. Possibly Midwest expansion next year. Good, I said. Cold chain logistics is changing. Completely, Connor said. Rachel said nothing. Interesting. We built something different, Connor continued. Old systems don't work anymore. Old systems? I asked. Legacy infrastructure. Examples, traditional compliance models. Manual verification. Static route optimization. Outdated frameworks. I nodded slowly. Those were problems, I said. Exactly. Hard problems. Very hard. People spent years solving those. Sure, Connor said. Before modern technology. Rachel looked down. Tiny movement. Pay attention to tiny movements. They matter. Connor? I said carefully. Yeah, who? Built your compliance architecture. Our team. Internal mostly. Mostly. Some acquired legacy integration. Acquired from where? Various sources. Which sources, Dad? What? Why? You really asking me? Logistics questions at dinner. Business world questions, any silence. Rachel picked up her water. Connor leaned back. Dad, he said, you wouldn't really understand how modern scaling works. There it was. Again. Same tone. Same casual certainty. Only this time, Rachel heard it. You know, Connor continued, things move differently now. Faster. Markets change. Technology changes. Everything changes. Not everything I said quietly. Most things, not fundamentals. Dad, stay with me here. Connor sighed. Danger sign. I recognized that sigh. Age 12. Age 6. Age 21. Connor sighed exactly the same way when he thought someone older was slowing him down. You think business now works differently than before? I asked. Obviously. Completely differently, yes. Interesting. Dad. No, seriously. Interesting. Nova Rachel said carefully. No, I said gently. I want to hear this. Connor leaned forward. You built careers differently. Different generation. Different economy. Different systems. Different competition. You don't understand startup pressure. You don't understand investors. You don't understand scaling. And that's okay. There it was, that hurt worse. Not because he insulted me, because he believed it. Completely. Honestly. People can survive cruelty easier than certainty. Okay, I said quietly. Connor relaxed. Thought conversation ended. Wrong. Humor me, I said. Okay, temperature integrity failures. Why in logistics? What about them? Most vulnerable point. Connor blinked. Transit handoff. Not always. Usually. Not always. Rachel looked up. Interesting. Regional cold storage integrity. I asked. Depends. On data architecture. Which architecture, Dad? Just curious. Predictive monitoring. Old monitoring failed because of technology limitations. Partly. Connor exhaled. You testing me? No. You are. No, you absolutely are. Connor. What? I asked. 3 questions. Rachel stared quietly. Very quietly. Connor shifted. Tiny shift. But I noticed. You know this stuff? Rachel asked softly. Connor answered before I could. Dad used to work operations years ago. Operations? Interesting. 30 years reduced to one word. Operations. Like calling NASA some airplane stuff. Something like that, I said. Dinner changed after that. Subtle. Not dramatic. Connor got quieter. Rachel got quieter too. Rain hit windows. Plates cleared. Check arrived. Connor paid. Corporate card. Of course. Outside the restaurant, cold air hit hard. Seattle cold. Wet cold. Different from Idaho cold. Big day tomorrow, Connor said. Investor prep. Long hours. Need anything tonight? Sleep, I said. That's all. Connor nodded. Rachel headed toward her car, then stopped, turned, looked at me. You really worked logistics? She asked. Long time ago. What kind? Complicated kind. She smiled slightly. Good night, Nova. Night. Connor drove us home. Quiet. Music low. Traffic slow. Something sat wrong now. Not session. Not yet. Something deeper. Like hearing a familiar melody underneath another song. Connor pulled into his townhouse driveway around 9:40 p.m. Modern place. Clean lines. Minimal furniture. Expensive coffee machine. No personality. Successful people sometimes build houses that look like hotels. You good? Connor asked. Yep. Need anything? No. Breakfast tomorrow? Sure. 8-8. Night, Dad. Night. I walked toward the guest room, past his office. Door partially open. Computer screen glowing. And there, on his desk, sat something that made my feet stop moving. Old printed system architecture documents. One page visible. One label. One naming structure. One sequence. A sequence nobody should still know. Nobody except 4 people. One was dead. One lived in Idaho. One moved to Arizona 20 years ago. And one sat downstairs thinking his father wouldn't understand business. I stared at that paper, quiet, still. Then one thought landed hard enough to change everything. Connor didn't invent this. Not even close. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was angry. Anger burns hot. What I felt was colder than anger. Confusion. Confusion is dangerous because it makes you question yourself before you question anyone else. I sat awake around 2:13 in the morning in Connor's guest room, staring at a ceiling fan that spun too slowly to be useful and too fast to ignore. Seattle rain tapped softly against the window. A car alarm went off somewhere. Stopped, started again, stopped. Whoever invented car alarms clearly never lived near people. I kept replaying everything. The diagram, the naming structure, the compliance architecture, the file labels, the paper on Connor's desk. My brain kept pulling me backward. Back 30 years. Back before Seattle. Back before Connor became the kind of man who measured life in valuation growth and investor confidence. Back before Margaret got sick. Back before I walked away. You need to understand something. I never told Connor everything. That part mattered more than I realized. Parents do strange things. We protect children from storms they never asked to survive. Sometimes we protect them so long they grow up never understanding what weather feels like. Connor knew I worked logistics. He knew I traveled, knew I worked long hours, knew I built things. But children don't see parents clearly, not when they're young. When Connor was 8, I was just Dad, the guy who fixed broken bikes, burned pancakes every Sunday, fell asleep watching baseball, missed free throws in the driveway. The guy who said no to dirt bikes, no to motorcycles, no to stupid ideas, especially stupid ideas. He never saw conference rooms, never saw contracts, never saw investors, never saw 20-hour workdays. Because Margaret and I made sure of that. By design. Maybe that was our mistake. At 6:47 a.m., I walked quietly downstairs. Connor already awake, laptop open, coffee brewing, phone beside him, another screen open, email moving, Slack notifications, numbers, always numbers. You sleep, he asked. Some. You. 4 hours. That explains your generation, my generation. You people slept. We also lived longer, statistically questionable, emotionally accurate. Connor smiled slightly. Good. Some version of my son still lived under all this. You hungry? He asked. Depends. On, am I paying Seattle breakfast prices? You're impossible, yet lovable, debatable. He ordered breakfast delivery. 2 breakfast burritos. 1 black coffee. 1 latte. Mine black. He remembered. That mattered too. People think relationships break all at once. They don't. They crack slowly, quietly, like ice under weight. But small, good things survive. Memory survives. Habit survives. Love survives longer than pride. Investor meeting starts 10:30, Connor said. Big one. Very. Victor Hale. Connor looked up. How do you know Victor Hale? Internet exists. You looked him up. I know how Google works. Dad? What? You really researched this. Connor, what? Some of us retired people get bored. Uh-huh. Also, your company website lists investors publicly. Oh, yeah? Okay, fair. Silence. Then you nervous? I asked. No, you look nervous. Not nervous. You're touching your watch. I touch my watch. You touched it 6 times. You counted occupational habit. What occupation? There it was. Accidental, simple, normal, but it landed. What occupation? He said again. I looked at him. Really looked. My son, 39, CEO, smart, driven, tired. And somehow, still not seeing me. Long story. I said, Dad, long story. Okay. Rachel arrived around 8:15, coffee in hand, hair tied back, laptop bag over shoulder. Morning, she said. Morning, I said. Connor looked stressed. Rachel looked focused. Different energy. People reveal themselves under pressure. Connor accelerated. Rachel stabilized. Interesting. Big day, I asked. Very, Rachel said. Victor Hale doesn't waste meetings. Meaning. If this goes well, Connor stepped in. National expansion. Series growth. Distribution partnerships. Big numbers. Big pressure, Rachel corrected. Connor exhaled. Tiny annoyance. Again. Tiny things. Pay attention. Dad, Connor said, you can sit in if you want. Investor meeting. Yeah. You sure? Sure. Thought I wouldn't understand. Connor rubbed his forehead. We're doing this again. No, you took that wrong. Did I? Yes. Okay, Rachel said nothing. But I noticed. Again, sharp people say less. Around 9:40 we left. Rain again. Seattle had one weather setting. Depressed mist, Connor drove. Rachel reviewed notes. Investor briefing open. Numbers moving. Margins, forecasts, distribution projections. Then something, one slide, fast, brief, but enough. I saw a label, one system identifier, hidden near bottom corner, MGT compliance layer. My hand tightened slightly. Margaret Griffin trace, layer. Nobody knew that. Nobody. Except 4 people. Me, Russ, one engineer in Arizona. And no, Impossible. Stay with me here, because this next part matters. Back in 1994, Russ and I built something unusual. Cold chain logistics systems existed. Kind of. Badly. Food transportation compliance was fragmented. Disconnected. Regional. Messy. We built something better. Data verification architecture. Transport tracking. Temperature integrity. Validation. Cross-point failure monitoring. And Margaret, my wife, found a flaw. Not technical. Human. She said people lie. Russ laughed. I laughed. Margaret didn't. People will skip procedures, she said. They'll cut corners. They'll fake compliance. Build around human shortcuts. We did. As a joke, Russ labeled one verification layer MGT, Margaret Griffin Trace. Internal only. Never public. Never external. Nobody knew. Nobody except us. My chest felt strange. Not panic. Worse. Recognition. Connor kept driving. Talking. Forecasts. Margins. Victor Hale. Growth. Words moved around me, but my mind stayed frozen. MGT. No. Impossible. Unless. No. No. Nova Rachel. You okay? Yeah, you sure? Yeah. Connor glanced over. You look pale. Seattle weather. Dad. I'm fine. Lie. Not fine. Not even close. Victor Hale's office occupied the top floors of a building overlooking Elliott Bay. Glass, steel, money, the kind of place that smelled expensive somehow. Reception area, modern furniture, abstract art nobody understood. Water dispenser shaped like sculpture. We waited. Connor paced. Watch touch. Phone check. Watch touch. Phone check. Rachel reviewed notes. Calm, professional. Victor Hale entered exactly at 10:29. 58. Gray suit, sharp eyes, controlled smile. Connor. Victor, handshake. Rachel introduced. Then Connor turned. This is my dad, he said. Victor extended his hand. Pleasure. Likewise. Retired, Victor asked. Mostly. What did you do? Small pause. Connor answered. Operations stuff. Operation stuff. There it was again. Victor nodded, politely. Good honest work, he said. Very, I said quietly. Connor didn't notice. Rachel did. Always Rachel. Meeting began. Slides, forecasts, data, expansion, scale. Everything looked polished, professional, impressive. Until slide 14. Architecture overview. System integration. Compliance structure. And they're clear, visible, impossible, MGT layer, public, operational, embedded. Not coincidence, not inspiration, not similarity. Mine, ours, Margaret's. Connor stood confidently, explaining infrastructure he believed belonged entirely to Nexus Flow. Victor Hale nodded. Interested. Impressed. Connor smiled. Pride. Confidence. Momentum. My son had built something successful. That part was real. But buried underneath success, buried where nobody thought to look, lived a truth Connor never knew. And for the very first time, I realized something terrifying. Maybe Connor wasn't lying. Maybe Connor genuinely believed it belonged to him. And somehow, that hurt even worse. There are moments in life where you realize anger would actually feel easier. Anger gives you direction. Anger tells you where to point yourself. Confusion just sits there. Heavy, quiet, complicated. Victor Hale's conference room overlooked Elliott Bay. Gray water, gray sky, gray boats moving slowly through gray weather. Seattle really commits to a theme. Connor stood near the presentation screen talking growth projections, national expansion, enterprise partnerships, scaling infrastructure, words investors love, words that sound expensive. Victor Hale sat perfectly still. That bothered me. People who move less usually notice more. Rachel sat beside Connor, laptop open, notes organized. 3 color-coded tabs: yellow, blue, red. Margaret used color tabs. Funny thing to notice. Funny thing to hurt. Connor clicked another slide. Forecast growth. Revenue projections. System efficiency. Victor nodded. Impressive, he said. Connor smiled. Small. Controlled. Investor smile. Thank you. Victor leaned back. One question. Connor straightened. Of course. Your compliance architecture. Okay. Explain your origin model. Connor answered immediately. Too immediately. We built internally. Victor nodded. Entirely? Primarily. Primarily? Some acquired legacy integrations. Victor folded his hands. From whom? Multiple acquisition pathways. Corporate language. You know what corporate language usually means? Somebody wants words to sound clearer than reality. Victor kept looking, waiting. Silence stretched. Connor kept talking. Mistake. Smart people answer questions. Nervous people answer extra questions. Rachel shifted slightly. Tiny movement. Tiny movements matter. Connor, Victor said calmly. I'll ask differently. Okay. Who originally developed your compliance verification framework? Connor hesitated. 1 second. 2, 3. You own it. Now, Victor asked. Yes. That's not what I asked. Room changed. Pressure changes rooms. Air feels different. Connor smiled. Not naturally. Professionally. Danger sign. We've evolved the system significantly, Connor said. Didn't ask that either. Victor Hale wasn't stupid. Rich people sometimes are. Not Victor. Ownership documentation, Victor asked. Available. Good. Rachel can provide it. Rachel looked up. Just slightly. Of course, she said. Professional, controlled. But something changed. Small. Almost invisible. Pressure. Meeting ended 30 2 minutes later. Victor stood. Good presentation, he said. Need deeper diligence. Connor nodded. Absolutely. We'll send requests. Looking forward to it. Handshake. Professional smiles. Doors closed. Elevator ride down. Silence. Connor finally exhaled. That went well. Rachel didn't answer. Rachel, need documentation package prepared. Already working it. Good. Connor, what need ownership records cleaned up? Connor frowned. What do you mean cleaned up? Need complete chain and documentation. We have it. Need cleaner package. Rachel, what we have it. Okay, short. Too short. I noticed. Of course I noticed. We stepped outside. Cold wind. Rain. Seattle doing Seattle things. Connor looked relieved. Phone already moving, email already flying, mind already 10 steps ahead. Lunch, he asked. Sure, I said. Rachel need office, she said. Work? You sure? Connor asked. Yeah, you eat, I'll survive. She left, fast, purposeful. Connor watched her go. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah. You sure Rachel gets weird before diligence? Meaning she overthinks, or thinks enough. Connor sighed. Dad, what? Don't start. Interesting answer. Didn't say no. We grabbed sandwiches near Pike Place. Small deli, crowded, tourists, coffee smell, rain jackets everywhere. Seattle dress code. Connor looked tired now, less polished, more human. Good. Humans tell truth easier than executives. You really think Victor liked it? He asked. You nervous, number Connor? Little? Good. Good. Means you care. He leaned back. You know what's weird? I still feel like I'm chasing something. Everybody chases something. Not like this. Like what? Like proving something. To who? Long pause. Then people. Wrong answer. Parents know wrong answers. Try again, I said. Connor looked outside. Rain sliding down windows. Cars having people rushing. Maybe myself, he said quietly. Closer. Not complete. Closer. Maybe Mom, he added. That one landed. Hard. Margaret. Always Margaret. She'd be proud, I said. You think I know. Connor looked down. Sometimes feels like I never did enough. Connor. Yeah. She loved effort more than results. Still. No, listen, I need you to understand something. He looked at me. Your mother cared who people became, not what people owned. Connor stared quietly, then smiled slightly. Dad wisdom. Free of charge. Dangerous, extremely. For a second, one small second, I saw 16-year-old Connor again. Before ambition swallowed oxygen. Before pressure sharpened everything. Then his phone buzzed, and he disappeared back into work, just like that. Back at Nexus Flow, around 2:40 p.m. Something happened. Small, critical. Rachel stood near a glass conference room. Arms crossed. Laptop open. Connor walking fast toward her. What's wrong? He asked. Need historical ownership chain. We have it. Not complete. It is. Connor. Rachel. Need acquisition source verification. Why? Because diligence asks. We have documents. Need originals. We have copies. Need originals. Connor's voice changed. Tiny edge. Rachel. What? Why suddenly worried? Because I do my job. We've done this before. Not this level. We're fine. Connor. We're fine. Rachel stopped talking. Bad sign? Very bad sign. People will stop arguing when they stop believing words matter. Connor walked away, frustrated. Rachel stayed. Still. Thinking. Then she noticed me. Nova. You okay? No. Honest answer. First one. All day. You want coffee? She ahawed. I don't think coffee fixes this. No, probably not. We sat downstairs. Building cafe. Overpriced coffee. Predictable disappointment. Rachel looked exhausted. You ever think you know everything about somebody? She asked quietly. Then realize you don't. Every parent eventually. No, not like that. I waited. Silence matters. People fill silence. Connor built this company, she said. I know, worked himself sick. I know, almost lost everything twice. I believe it. He deserves what he built. Important wording. Deserves what he built. Not owns. Built. Rachel, I said carefully. Yeah. Where did Nexus Flow come from? What do you mean? Beginning. Connor started consulting. Then software. Then growth. Then acquisitions. Acquisitions? From who? She hesitated. Tiny. Important. Legacy infrastructure providers, she said. Names? Why curious? Nova. Yeah. Do you know something danger? Sharp people. Sharp, quiet people. I don't know, I said honestly. Not yet. And that was the first completely true thing I'd said all day. Because deep down, past suspicion, past confusion, past hurt, something else was growing. Something dangerous. Evidence. People imagine traps as dramatic things. Hidden pits. Complicated schemes. Carefully planned revenge. Real life usually works differently. Most people destroy themselves. You just have to stand still long enough to watch it happen. I wish I could tell you. I immediately confronted Connor. That I walked upstairs, closed his office door, put old truths on the table. Movie version. Clean version, fake version. Life doesn't work like that. Not when family gets involved. Especially not family. Thursday night, Seattle rain settled over the city like wet wool. Heavy. Quiet. Persistent. Connor was still at Nexus Flow around 8:30 p.m. Rachel, too. I stayed back at his townhouse, made coffee, burned coffee, managed somehow to fail, using a machine smarter than I was. Progress. I sat near the kitchen island, staring at my phone. Russ Bennett. 3 missed calls. Of course, I called back. You alive? Russ answered immediately. Barely. Took long enough. Busy. You sound weird. You always say that. Because you're always weird. Fair. Silence. Then you found something. Not a question. Russ knew me too well. Maybe. Nova, maybe. You only say maybe when the answer is yes. Russ, talk. I looked toward Connor's office upstairs. Dark, quiet. Rain tapping windows. Then finally, I told him. Everything. The architecture. The compliance layer. MGT. The naming structures. The documentation. Silence. Long silence. Russ. Yeah. You there? Yeah, you breathing barely. Russ. Tell me exactly what naming structure you saw. I did. Every detail. Slowly. Twice. Silence again. Then no, Russ said quietly. That's what I thought. No, Russ. No, Nova. Impossible. Exactly. No, Russ. No. Something changed in his voice. Not surprise. Recognition. Danger. You remember Denver? He asked. 1997. Yeah. Yes. Remember legal transfer package. My stomach tightened. Very slowly. Very quietly. Russ. Remember, yeah. Say it. We sold operational assets and retained foundational verification rights and core compliance structure. And I closed my eyes. Rain outside, Seattle, present day. But suddenly, conference room. Legal documents. Margaret sitting beside me. Russ arguing with attorneys. Me exhausted, desperate. Scared. Margaret already sick. Already getting weaker. Nova. Russ again. Present. Now! Say it. We kept ownership protections. Exactly. Cold. Everything's suddenly cold. Not weather. Truth. Connor doesn't know, I said quietly. No. He couldn't know. No. He genuinely doesn't know. Maybe. Russ. What? Don't do that. Nova. What? You sure? Yes. You positive yes? You willing to bet Connor built everything himself? Silence. No. No, I wasn't. Call me back, Russ said. Doing what looking? Russ, call you back. Click. Gone. I stared at my phone. You know what fear feels like. People think fear feels loud. Heart racing, panic, sweating, sometimes. Other times, fear feels quiet. Like standing on ice, not hearing cracks, just knowing they're there. Connor got home at 10:14 p.m. Tired, loose tie, laptop bag hanging low. Rachel dropped him off. Interesting. You still up? He asked. Old people don't sleep. That's not true. Fine. Old people sleep weird. Better. He opened the refrigerator, pulled out leftover Thai food. Cold noodles, corporate survival fuel. You eat? He asked. Yeah. Good. Silence. Microwave humming. Kitchen lights low. You okay? Connor asked. Why? You've been weird. Seattle weather, Dad. Connor. No, seriously. What you seem... What off? You ever think maybe you're finally noticing things? What things? People? You mean you maybe? Microwave beeped. Saved him. Interesting. Investor follow-up tomorrow, he said. Victor Hale? Yeah. Good. Good if diligence goes smooth. Well, it should. Important word, not will. Should. Kind of. Yeah, who handled your acquisition chain, Rachel? Mostly lawyers, too, said counsel. Yeah. Why curious? Dad, what you ask weird questions. Age, no. Experience, maybe. He sat across from me, eating cold noodles, looking tired, more tired than yesterday. Pressure showing. Good. Pressure reveals cracks. You ever think about Mom? He asked suddenly. Question hit sideways. Unexpected. Every day. Yeah. Connor. What? Everything okay? Yeah, no. Dad. Talk. Long silence, real silence. Then, what if you build something, he said quietly, and it still doesn't feel enough? There it was finally. Human Connor, not CEO Connor, not presentation Connor. My son, enough for who, I asked. I don't know. Yes, you do. No. Yes. Silence, then quietly. Maybe me. Closer. Maybe Mom. There she was again. Margaret. Always. Margaret. You know what your mother used to say, I asked. What success doesn't fix insecurity? Connor smiled slightly. That sounds like Mom. Because it is. You miss her every day. Me too. Quiet, heavy, human. And for one dangerous second, one terrible, dangerous second, I almost told him everything. Almost. Then my phone buzzed. Russ. Text message. 3 words. Found something. Call. My stomach dropped. Need this, I said. Connor nodded. Night, Dad. Night. I stepped outside. Rain cold. Street quiet. Called Russ. He answered immediately. You sitting down? He asked. No. Sit. I hate when people say that. Sit down. I sat. Front porch. Cold wood. Rain smell. Street light reflecting on wet pavement. Talk, I said. I found acquisition records. Okay. No. Russ. Connor's company didn't build this from scratch. No. No, you don't. Silence. Then Nexus. Flow acquired pieces. Legacy infrastructure. Regional providers. Bankrupt holdings. Old software assets layer by layer. Okay, Nova, what? One acquisition. Silence. My hand tightened. One acquisition connected back to us. Everything stopped. Rain, wind, thought, everything. No, I said quietly. Yes. Russ, Nova. No. Company called North River Transit Systems. Memory hit instantly. North River. Regional logistics partner. Failed in 2004. Asset sale. Fragmented ownership. Pieces scattered. Connor bought fragments, Russ said. He inherited pieces. He may not know. He may honestly not know. I closed my eyes. Porch light above me. Seattle rain. Cold air. And suddenly everything changed. Connor didn't steal it. Not exactly. Worse. Much worse. Because if Connor didn't know, then someone else did. Somebody somewhere had quietly built a fortune on top of forgotten bones. Nova Griffin said quietly. Yeah. You still there? Yeah. You okay? No. Good. What means you're thinking? I sat there another 20 minutes after we hung up. Rain falling. Street empty. Past colliding with present. Connor thought he built everything. Maybe he believed it. Rachel suspected something. Victor Hale wanted proof. And somewhere inside 30 years of paperwork lived the truth. Truth doesn't disappear. It waits, patient, quiet, until greed moves too fast. And greed was starting to move very fast. Phantom. Greed does something dangerous to smart people. It convinces them that moving faster means moving better. Connor Griffin had always been smart. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that success had taught him speed. Speed closes deals. Speed wins markets. Speed impresses investors. But speed also skips steps. And skipped with steps leave footprints. Friday morning started at 5:41 a.m. I know because Seattle rain woke me up again. At this point, I was beginning to think clouds followed Seattle residents home out of professional commitment. I sat at Connor's kitchen counter wearing my old navy flannel. Black coffee, no sugar. Margaret used to say, coffee should either wake you up or apologize. Connor's expensive coffee machine somehow did neither. My phone buzzed. Russ. Of course. Found more. Call. When alone. Good morning to me. Connor came downstairs around 6:28. Dark circles under his eyes. Phone already in his hand. People don't realize exhaustion changes posture before it changes faces. Connor moved differently now. Sharper, faster, more pressure. You sleep, he asked. Badly. Seattle. Your guest mattress. It's memory foam. Memory should forget faster. Dad. Connor. Small smile. Still there? Good. Victor wants documentation package by noon, he said. Ownership chain. Historical records. Compliance verification. Fun stuff. Sounds exciting? Not really. You know what sounds exciting at 68? What canceling plans? Connor laughed. Real laugh. Not CEO laugh. Good. Human Connor still existed. Barely, but existed. Rachel arrived at 7:05, earlier than usual. Laptop bag, coffee, hair tied back tighter than yesterday. People tighten things when stress grows. Tie knots. Schedules. Control. Morning, she said. Morning, I answered. Connor noticed immediately. You okay, fine? No, you're not. Need ownership records. We have them. Need originals. We have originals. Need chain validation. Rachel, what relax? I'll relax when diligence finishes. Connor rubbed his forehead. Same movement. Again. Pressure. Victor's team wants metadata reports too, Rachel said. That landed. Metadata. Interesting. Connor paused. Small pause. Tiny. Critical. Metadata, he said. Standard diligence. We've never needed that before. Victor Hale isn't before. Silence. Connor picked up coffee. Didn't drink it. Interesting. People hold things when nervous. Coffee. Pens. Phones control. Connor Rachel said, yeah. Need archive access. Why need source validation? We already validated. Need documented validation. Rachel. What? We don't have time to overcomplicate this. There it was. Greed's first symptom. Rushing. You don't rush diligence, Rachel said quietly. You prepare for it. Connor exhaled hard. You're making this bigger than it is. No, you are. No, you are. Connor, no. Kitchen went quiet. I said nothing. You know why? Because people tell truth faster when they forget you're listening. Rachel closed her laptop slowly. Need access by 9, she said. Then she left. Door closed. Silence. Connor stood still, looking irritated. Tough morning, I asked. Rachel gets obsessive. Maybe she's careful. Dad, what you always do that? Do what take everybody else's sick side. Interesting. That one surprised me. Connor. Forget it. No. Forget it. Connor. Forget it. People say forget it when they desperately want you not to. Tuck, I said nothing. Connor. Mom always backed you. There it was, unexpected. Real. Dangerous. That's not true, I said quietly. Sure. No. Dad. No. Connor. Silence. Your mother argued with me constantly. Tiny smile. Yeah. Connor said quietly. She did, constantly, especially when you got stubborn. I don't get stubborn. Okay, I don't. Dad. Connor. Small moment. Human moment. Then gone. Phone buzzed. Work returned. Pressure returned. Life returned. At 8:42, I finally called Russ. You alone? He asked immediately. Yeah. Good. Talk. North River. Records go deeper. How deep? Deep. Russ. Nova. Talk. Connor's acquisition chain includes something called Cascade Freight Systems. Memory hit instantly. Cascade. Regional infrastructure. Old Pacific Northwest Transport Network. Collapsed 2008. Assets liquidated. Cascade acquired North River, Russ said. North River had fragments. Yes. Cascade had fragments. Yes. Nexus Flow bought Cascade assets. Yes. Meaning, yes. Connor inherited it. Layer by layer. Acquisition by acquisition. No theft. No intentional fraud. Not by Connor, but still. Something felt wrong. Russ. Yeah. What's missing? Exactly. What? Something's still missing. What metadata trail? There it was again. Metadata. Nova. Yeah. You know what diligence finds everything. Exactly. Silence. Then Connor moved fast lately. Yes. Too fast, yes. Good. What greedy people make mistakes. Connor isn't greedy. Silence. Nova. What people Don't start greedy. That sat heavy. Very heavy. Around 10:30. I walked into Nexus Flow, reception area busier, pressure visible, people moving faster, talking faster, energy wrong, bad energy. Rachel stood near engineering. Laptop open. Face serious. Connor walked toward her. Fast. Too fast. Tell me this isn't real, Rachel said quietly. What? Tell me. Rachel. Tell me, not here, Connor. Not here. My feet stopped. Not close enough to hear everything. Close enough? Metadata history, Rachel said. Archive records. File inheritance. Rachel, Connor, lower your voice. Answer me. Aner, real danger. Rachel wasn't suspicious anymore. Rachel knew something. Connor noticed me. Conversation stopped instantly. Always bad sign. Dad, Connor said quickly. Morning. Morning. Rachel looked at me. Longer than usual. Too long. Nova, she said quietly. Can we talk later? Yes? Connor looked between us. About what operations, Rachel said. Operations. Interesting word choice. Very interesting. No secrets, Connor said. Rachel didn't smile. Didn't answer. Didn't move. People stop performing when trust breaks. Around noon, everything exploded. Not publicly. Worse, quietly. Rachel walked into Connor's office. Closed the door. 23 minutes. No voices. No yelling. Nothing. Then Connor came out. Face pale. Jaw tight, phone already dialing. He walked past me, didn't even see me. Rachel stepped out 2 minutes later. Eyes tired, not angry. Disappointed, much worse. Rachel, I said quietly. She stopped, looked at me. Nova. You okay? No, Connor. No. What happened? Silence. Long silence. Then he submitted diligence package. Too fast. My stomach tightened. How fast? Too fast. What happened? Metadata. Again, metadata. Rachel, yeah. What metadata? She looked directly at me. Sharp people don't waste eye contact. Archived source inheritance. Historical file chains. Original developer identifiers. My heartbeat changed. Rachel. Yeah, tell me. Not yet. Rachel. Not yet. Why? Because I'm still hoping there's another explanation. And right then, standing inside Nexus Flow, watching people move around, pretending everything was normal, I realized something. Connor hadn't stepped into danger. He'd sprinted toward it. And Victor Hale was already looking. Fanchin. You ever watch somebody walk toward a glass door they think is open? That feeling. That helpless feeling. You see what's coming. They don't. You want to stop them. But part of you knows people sometimes need to hit reality themselves. Friday afternoon settled over Seattle in layers of gray and silver. Rain streaked across Nexus Flow's windows. Employees moved carefully now, quieter. Pressure changes offices. Laughter gets smaller. Conversations get shorter. People walk faster. Rachel hadn't come out of her office in nearly an hour. Connor hadn't sat down once. Victor Hale's diligence team had requested another documentation review. Then another. Then another. Greed had done exactly what Russ said it would do. Connor moved too fast, and fast creates fingerprints. I sat near the corner lounge area, holding coffee I wasn't drinking. People think age makes you slower. Wrong. Age makes you patient. Patience sees things. Connor walked past me around 2:17 p.m. Phone against his ear. No. Pause. No, pull the archive. Pause. I know. Pause. Find original inheritance mapping. Pause. No excuses. Phone down. Face tight. Jaw locked. Connor? He stopped. Not now, Dad. Okay. 3 steps. Stopped. Turned back. You need something. No. Then Nedku. You okay? I'm fine. No. I'm fine. No. Please don't do this. Interesting, please. Not now. Pressure talking. You eat, I asked. What? Food. Dad. Connor. I'm busy. Busy people still need food. I'm fine. No. I'm not 12. No. Stop doing that. What? Talking. Like what? Kikala. You know things. There it was, finally. The thing sitting under everything. Pride. Not cruelty. Not hatred. Pride. Dangerous thing. Particularly when mixed with insecurity. I know some things, I said quietly. You know what I mean. Do I? Yeah. No. Dad. Connor. Long silence. People watched, not directly. Office watching, corporate watching, the kind where nobody looks directly, but everybody sees. We're under pressure, Connor said. I know. No. You don't. There it was again. Same mistake. Same blind spot. You sure? I asked, quietly. Yes. Interesting. Very interesting. Rachel appeared, and perfect timing. Or terrible timing. Hard to tell. Conference room 3, she said. Voice calm. Too calm. Connor looked immediately. What's it? Need to talk. Now. No. Connor, no. No. Connor, no. No. Employees noticed, of course. Pressure leaks. Rachel stood still. Didn't move. Didn't blink much. Danger sign. Very dangerous sign. 5 minutes, Connor said. Now, oops. Rachel answered. Quiet. Sharp. Professional. Worse than yelling. Connor looked around. Saw people. Saw eyes. Saw perception. CEO. Brain. Activated. Fine. They walked away. Conference room 3. Glass walls. Blinds closed. Smart. 29 minutes. I counted. Of course I counted. Russ called twice. Ignored him. For once. Then conference room door opening. Rachel stepped out first. Connor second. Connor looked pale. Not stressed. Not tired. Pale. Rachel walked directly toward me. Nova. Yeah. Walk with me. Connor looked immediately. Rachel. 5 minutes. Rachel 5. We stepped outside. Rain lighter now. Cold air. Seattle traffic humming below. Rachel stopped near the corner balcony overlooking the street. You knew, she said quietly. Not question. Statement. I suspected. No. You knew. Silence. Because sometimes denying truth insults intelligence. I knew parts, I said. Not everything. Connor didn't. I know. He's an idiot. I almost smiled. Marcel. He inherited architecture pieces. I know. He genuinely thought acquisition ownership meant original ownership. I know. He never looked deeper. I know. He trusted people. That landed differently. He trusted lawyers, Rachel said quietly. He trusted acquisition summaries. He trusted inherited chain reports. He trusted growth, silence. Then he also ignored warnings. There it was. Important. Critical. He moved too fast, she said. Metadata exposed original inheritance structures. Source records. Developer identifiers. MGT. My chest tightened. You found MGT? Yes. Silent ones. Nova. Yeah. Who's Margaret? Wind moved between buildings. Seattle below, cars moving. People living ordinary days. While mine changed. My way, I said quietly. Rachel stared. Long enough. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Nova. I know. She leaned back against railing, hand against forehead. Processing, thinking. Sharp people think hard. He doesn't know, she whispered. No. He really doesn't. No. He'll lose Victor. Probably. He could lose Nexus flow. Maybe. He'll lose trust. Silence. Heavy. Real. He deserves consequences, Rachel said quietly. But not destruction. There it was. Why I had liked Rachel immediately. Character. Hard thing to find. Rare thing to keep. What happens now? She asked. I don't know. Yes, you do. No. You absolutely do. No. Nova. I said no. Because truth, I didn't know. Not really. Because this stopped being business. Long ago, this became family. And family breaks differently. My phone buzzed. Russ, Tiad. 2 words. Check email. Of course. I opened email. Russ, attachment. Legal archive package. Transfer documentation. Foundational ownership retention. Compliance structure protection. Verification. Architecture rights. Everything. Everything. Signed, dated, documented. Margaret's signature, my signature. Attorneys, everything. Rachel watched quietly. You have proof, she said softly. Yeah. You had proof the whole time. No. What? I had history. Russ found proof. Small difference. Critical difference. You gonna use it? She asked. I don't know. You have to. Do I? Nova. What? Victor Hale already knows something's wrong. Maybe. No. Rachel. Victor requested emergency review. Silence. Emergency review. Those 2 words matter. A lot. When? I asked. Tomorrow. Saturday. Emergency review. Victor moving fast. Very fast. Greed moved Connor too fast. Now diligence moved Victor faster. Balance. Life likes balance. Connor knows. I asked. Not everything. How much? Enough. Danger. Real danger. We walked back inside. Office quieter. Employees leaving. Friday evening. Seattle dark early. Connor stood near his office. Looking out windows. Hands in pockets. Still. Too still. He turned. Saw Rachel. Saw me. Saw something. Parents. No. Immediately. What happened? He asked quietly. Nobody answered. Rachel. Nothing. Dad. Nothing. Somebody say something. Silence. Then finally, Connor laughed. Smallho. Wrongno. Dangerous. What, Nobody moved. What? He asked. Louder. Rachel stepped forward, very slowly. Connor. What? Metadata. Exposed inheritance origins. Silence. Absolute silence. Connor blinked once, twice, 3 times. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. He looked at me. Not Rachel. Me. Dad. I said nothing. Because suddenly, for the first time, Connor Griffin understood. Not everything. Not yet. But enough. Enough to realize the business world he thought I didn't understand was about to teach him something expensive. There's something nobody tells you about being right. Sometimes being right feels terrible. People imagine revenge feels powerful, clean, satisfying, like standing on a mountain while dramatic music plays behind you. Real life doesn't work like that. Real life feels quieter, heavier. Saturday morning. Seattle woke up cold. Not Idaho cold. Seattle cold. Wet cold. Clouds hanging low enough to make buildings feel tired. I woke at 5:18. Didn't sleep much. Again. Connor hadn't come home until nearly 2. I heard him. Front door, footsteps, office chair wheels moving upstairs. No television, no music, no phone calls, just silence. Heavy silence. The kind that comes after somebody realizes the ground beneath them isn't as solid as they believed. At 7:42, my phone rang. Victor Hale. Interesting. Very interesting. Nova Griffin, speaking. This is Victor Hale. I know. Pause. You know. Connor showed me your website. Small silence. You free this morning? What time? 9. Where my office? Why documentation review? I'm retired. No. Excuse me. No. You're not. Interesting man. You understand this industry? Victor said quietly. More than Connor realizes. Long silence, dangerous silence. How much does Connor know? Victor asked. About what about you? Not enough? Thought so. Call ended. 8 words stayed with me. Not enough. Connor came downstairs at 8:11. Same clothes. No sleep. Coffee. No breakfast. Danger signs. Always danger signs. You leaving? He asked. Yeah. Victor? Yeah. Silence. You talked to him? Yeah, without me? Yeah. Dad? Connor. Why Victor called? You answered. Usually how phones work. Dad. What? Please, please. Again. Pressure strips people down. Finds original language. You have documents, Connor said quietly. Yeah. You knew. Parts. You knew, Connor. You knew. I suspected. You let me walk into this. There it was. Not anger. Pain. Much worse. Connor. No, Connor. No, you need to hear this. No, you're 39. Silence. You're not 14. Dad. No, you built a company. Yes. You hired lawyers? Yes. You bought infrastructure. Yes. You signed acquisitions. Yes. You told investors ownership was verified. Yes. You rushed. Silence. You ignored Rachel. Silence. You moved too fast. Silence. You assumed. Silence. You never looked. Silence. Then finally, I trusted people. Quiet. Broken. Human, I know, I said. You think I'm stupid? No. You think I'm greedy? No. You think I lied. Long silence. Critical silence. Connor. What? I think you wanted success badly enough that you stopped asking hard questions. He looked down. Didn't argue. That's how you know truth landed. Victor Hale's office felt colder than yesterday. Conference room. Glass walls. Rain. Coffee nobody touched. Rachel there. Victor there. Attorney there. Outside counsel there. Connor beside me. Very quiet. Victor folded his hands. Thank you for coming. Nobody answered. Documentation review completed, Victor said calmly. Chain inheritance validated. Nobody moved. Foundational compliance. Architecture ownership protections confirmed. Connor stared forward. Didn't blink. Didn't move. Metadata history validated. Silence. Original verification framework origin identified. Victor looked directly at me. Nova Griffin. Quiet. Heavy. Real. Attorney opened folder. Documents slid across to Mabel. Margaret's signature. Mine. Russ. Bets. Contracts. Retention agreements. Everything. Everything. Connor looked down. Hands motionless. Rachel sat still. Victor spoke carefully. Nexus flow. Legally acquired infrastructure assets. Connor inhaled sharply. Good. Critical distinction. However, Victor continued. Foundational compliance ownership protections remained retained under original protection agreements. Silence. You inherited architecture. You did not originate architecture. Silence. You represented ownership broadly. Silence. Too broadly. Connor finally spoke. Voice quiet. Did I commit fraud? Nobody answered immediately. Worst kind of answer. Attorney leaned forward. No evidence intentional fraud occurred. Connor closed his eyes. You acted recklessly, Victor said. You failed diligence. You failed verification. You moved too quickly. You assumed ownership without sufficient validation. Silence. Victor slid one final paper forward. We're withdrawing a pension funding. Quiet. No drama. No yelling. No movie scene. Just paper moving across glass. Funny. Life changes quietly. Connor stared at the withdrawal notice. National expansion. Gone. You're gone. Momentum gone. Months, years, pressure gone. And suddenly, my opening words came back. 3 hours later, Nova Griffin lost the biggest deal of his career. Not because I destroyed him, because truth arrived before growth finished hiding it. Victor stood. Meeting finished. Nobody moved. Rachel finally stood first. Quiet, professional, controlled. Connor, she said softly. Nothing. Connor. Nothing. Then finally, go home, she said, sleep. Connor laughed once, small, broken, sleep. Rachel looked at him. You're exhausted. I lost everything. No, yes, no. Ambition. You built. Nexus flow, Rachel said quietly. You still built Nexus flow. I built it wrong. No, you built it fast. Difference. Big difference. Victor left. Attorney left. Rachel stepped outside. Only Connor and me remained. Conference room. Seattle rain, glass walls, 2 men, father, son. 40 years between us. I hate this, Connor said quietly. I know. I hate that you knew. I know. I hate that Mom knew things I didn't. Silence. I hate that everybody knew things. Connor. I hate that I didn't know who my own father was. There it was, finally, the wound. Not business. Never business. Identity, shadow, pride, fear. I knew you worked logistics. Silence. I didn't know. I know. Why didn't you tell me? Long silence and long enough. Truth could enter. Because your mother and I wanted you to build your own life. You should have told me. Maybe. No, definitely. Maybe. No. I smiled. Small, tired. Human. You sound like your mother, I said quietly. Connor laughed. Once. Broken laugh. Dad? Yeah. You really built this part of it. You built foundations. Part of foundations. You built the thing I built everything on. Partly. Stop saying partly. Occupational habit. You're impossible. True. Silence. Seattle rain. Cars below. Gray sky. Heavy room. You know what hurts? Connor asked quietly. What? You sat in my office. Yeah. You watched me explain your own work. Yeah. You let me do it. Yeah. Why? Long silence. Critical silence. Because truth mattered. I needed to know if arrogance made you blind, I said quietly. Connor stared. Long, hard, real. And you tell me. Silence. Then finally, yeah, he whispered. Yeah. No defense. No excuses. No CEO. Just my son. Broken open by reality. Funny thing about business. People think industries are built by brilliance. Sometimes. Mostly industries get built by people willing to do hard things quietly. People nobody notices. People history forgets. Until history walks back into the room and introduces itself. People think endings arrive like doors closing. They don't. Most endings look like unfinished rooms. Half-painted walls, conversations that stop too early, coffee getting cold, between people trying to figure out how to speak honestly again. 3 months after Seattle, winter settled over Boise. Real winter. Idaho winter. Sharp cold. Dry air. Frost gathering along mailbox edges before sunrise. My 1998 Ford Ranger still complained every morning when temperatures dropped below freezing. Some things age. Some things just become louder about it. Life returned to routine. Mostly Tuesday mornings, Friday mornings, Maggie's Diner, Russ Bennett complaining about politics he claimed not to care about. Coffee, bad jokes, small life, good life. Connor call Russ asked one Tuesday. No, text last week. Still weird, still weird. Progress, that's not progress. Nova. What? People heal ugly. Fair point. Connor came back to Boise once. December. Oh, I'm cold enough to make your face angry. He stayed 4 hours. Not overnight. 4 hours. Long drive from the airport. Awkward conversation. Too much coffee. Not enough words. We talked in my garage. Funny place for important conversations. Garage smelled like motor oil, dust, old wood, history. Connor stared at storage boxes, fishing gear, Christmas decorations, Margaret's gardening gloves, still hanging there, still untouched. You kept them, he said quietly. Yeah. Why? Didn't feel right moving them. Long silence. You really loved her. Not question. Statement. Yeah, I said quietly. Still do. Connor nodded. Looked away. People do that when emotion gets too close. Nexus flow survived. Smaller. Different. Victor Hale pulled expansion funding completely. National growth disappeared. 23 employees left. Connor restructured operations. Cut spending. Slowed growth. Painful. Necessary. Rachel stayed. That surprised me. Maybe it shouldn't have. Good people don't disappear when storms arrive. Good people pick up buckets. 6 weeks after Seattle, Connor made a decision. Quiet decision. Important decision. Nexus. Flow publicly corrected attribution records. Updated compliance ownership documentation. Formal recognition. Original framework acknowledgement. Not legally required, morally required. He did it anyway. Russ nearly choked, reading it. Kid actually did it, Russ said. Yeah, didn't expect that. Me either. Margaret would've. That one sat heavy. Real heavy. Margaret would've. Of course she would've. She always believed people could become better. Even stubborn people. Especially stubborn people. Nova Russ said quietly. Yeah. You proud of him? Long silence. Complicated silence. Yeah, I said finally. Me too. Not because Connor won. He didn't. Not really. Not because he lost. That wasn't victory either. I was proud because he'd done something harder than winning. He admitted He was wrong. Publicly. Honestly. Without hiding. Do you know how rare that is? Particularly in business. Particularly in pride. Particularly in men. January brought another surprise. Rachel called. Nova. Everything okay? Yeah, you busy. Retired people specialize in availability. Connor doesn't know I'm calling. Dangerous beginning. Small laugh. He's better, she said quietly. Good. Not fixed. I know. Working. Good. Still carrying shame. Expected. How long does that take? What? Getting past shame. Long silence. Depends. On what? Whether you learn from it. Quiet. Nova. Yeah. You know what he said yesterday? What he said his dad built industries quietly. Because he never needed applause. Silence. Real silence. Dangerous silence. He said that. Yeah. Word for word. Pretty much. I looked out my kitchen window. Snow along the fence line. Gray winter sky. Margaret's wind chimes moving softly. He sounds like his mother, I said quietly. Yeah, he does. February. Connor visited again. Longer this time. Stayed overnight. Progress. Tiny. Important. We went to Maggie's diner. Russ there already. Of course. Connor walked in. Russ looked up. Well, Russ said, look who finally remembered Idaho exists. Good seeing you two, Connor answered. You look tired. Thanks. You eating enough, Russ? What? You aren't my doctor. Good. Because I'd fire me. Small laugh. Tiny moment. Human moment. We sat. Coffee, sales, pancakes. Ordinary things. Healing likes ordinary things. Dad, Connor said quietly. Yeah. Can I ask something? Sure. Why'd you stop? Stop what? Building. Long silence. Russ quietly looked away. Good friend. Always knew when silence belonged somewhere. Your mother got sick, I said quietly. Yeah, I chose her. Connor looked down. I would have too, he whispered. I know. You miss building. Interesting question. Real question, sometimes. Ever regret it? No. Not once. No. Why? Because industries don't sit beside hospital beds. Silence. Industries don't hold hands. Silence. Industries don't say goodbye. Connor looked down. Hands folded together, thinking. Good. Thinking mattered. You know, he said quietly, I spent years trying to prove I belonged in rooms. Yeah. I thought success fixed that. Doesn't. No. Dad, yeah. You know what hurts most? What? I wasn't embarrassed of you. Silence. I was scared. That landed harder than Seattle. Harder than Victor. Harder than business. Scared of what I asked, quietly. Not measuring up. Quiet. Real. Dangerous. I thought if people knew who you were. He stopped. Couldn't finish. Didn't need to. I understood. Of course I understood. People don't always disrespect greatness. Sometimes. Sometimes they fear standing beside it. We left Maggie's around 10:20. Cold Idaho morning. Connor stood near my truck, hands in pockets, breath visible. "You keeping this thing forever?" he asked. "Truck? Yeah. Probably." "Why?" "Built well." Small smile. "Dad?" "Yeah. Thanks." "For what?" "Not destroying me." Long silence. "Because truth matters." "I wasn't trying to destroy you," I said quietly. "I know." "Connor?" "Yeah." "You built Nexus Flow." "Yeah." "You, not me." "You." "Okay, understand?" "Okay, really understand." Small smile. "Okay." "Not perfect, not fixed, not movie ending. Better, real." Because life doesn't heal clean. Families don't repair overnight. Pride leaves scars. Grief leaves scars. Love leaves scars too. But scars aren't failure. Scars prove healing started. And maybe that's enough. Because sometimes the people who built the road quietly eventually get to watch someone they love learn how to walk it correctly. Life lesson. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt underestimated, stay with me here. People will judge what they can see. Your age, your clothes, your job title, your car, your silence. Let them. Real strength rarely announces itself. And if you're building something, a business, a career, a family, a life, don't move so fast, chasing success, that you stop asking hard questions. Pride grows quietly. Blind spots grow quietly. Regret grows quietly too. But honesty rebuilds things. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. And one more thing. If people love you quietly, pay attention. Because quiet love is usually the kind that stays. If this story meant something to you, join our community by hitting that like button and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever been in a situation like this? We read every single one. And as always, thank you for being a part of this.